deeply spiritual man. He definitely saw the need for separation of church and state. And of course, like I said, it made him a lot of enemies. I don't know where, where we've cycled to think that that is actually a good thing to integrate the two. But that's just my opinion. Not to say that we're not led by love and God. This misguiding came to a head during a bitter presidential campaign of 1800. Jefferson's Federalist opponents accused him of being an atheist and a philanderer without morals or a sense of responsibility, but Jefferson won the election. So that was a good thing. Although Jefferson was reluctant to talk about his personal beliefs in public, his private letters reveal he was a deeply spiritual man who spent a considerable amount of time thinking about God. In honor of his 272nd birthday, here are 5 facts about his faith. And I think that I found these very, very enlightening and interesting. Number 1, of a sect by myself. In a letter dated June 25th, 1819, Jefferson summarized his religious beliefs in this way: I am of a sect by myself as far as I know. And when I hear that, really the whole goal of my spiritual life, I think we're all in a sect of our own. That's why we offer so many different perspectives and ideas and opinions. It's not about me sitting there downloading one philosophy, idea, theory into your mind, but letting you have a lot of different opportunities to explore lots of different aspects of spirituality and finding where you are and where you fit into this and what works for you, that personal relationship with spirit. It says this was an honest reflection of his unique sense of spirituality. Jefferson was raised as an Anglican, but like other founding fathers, was influenced by deism. The school of thought he believed was in the presence of a supreme being, but prioritized reason and rationality over religious dogma and tradition. Jefferson may have supported Orthodox Christianity in his public life, but he privately rejected traditional Christian teachings, including the virgin birth, the concept of original sin, and the resurrection. So he was a free thinker, probably would have fit in well with the Unitarians, I would suppose. Not to say I agree or disagree with his findings, but certainly there again, you got to understand, if we look back at the documents, the documents that this United States of America was founded upon, this was the creator of those documents. And so there was, I think, another plan in mind than maybe what we've taken it to be up to this point. He says in another letter, I am a real Christian, that is to say, a disciple of the doctrines of Jesus. And to me, that speaks volumes. And when people often ask me, are you a Christian? And yes, I am. But maybe not on the terms that, that they want to hear. And it's not to say that I'm against Christianity, because I'm not. But again, maybe being misguided, brainwashed, not taking the time. What really got me to here today was when I went to a Methodist college, planning to be a Methodist minister. It wasn't that I had a negative experience. Actually, the contrary, it was beautiful, my church experience. And going back the past couple of weeks, it's lovely. It's very beautiful. But I knew there was more. I was seeking a bigger path, and I wanted to find the truth. I wanted to find that which unified us. So back to the idea, am I a Christian? Yes. Am I a follower of Jesus? Totally, because Jesus was a man who walked this planet, who knew his place in this world as a divine being. And he was able to see beyond the war, the conflict, the sickness. I mean, the reason he was able to do what he did was because his vision was so clear that nothing else was in his field of consciousness. And that's what I think we're all choosing to attain, is that enlightened vision, to where we see only love. I got my love glasses on. There's a little Facebook thing with a chipmunk who has like sunglasses. I got my love glasses on, And I think that that's what we're here to do. Because again, in the quantum theory of, if you understand quantum physics 101, which I am not a big scholar by any means, but I get it in the simplest way, that our thoughts are constantly creating. That we live in a universal, everything in the universe is energy, and our thoughts projected on it are constantly creating. So our responsibility is to take responsibility for our own sight, our own vision, put the energy of love on everything, and that dispels the fear. But it's so easy to get caught into the judgment, get caught up into opinions, and of course it's fine. We can have strong feelings and opinions and take action on those, but we do that from a sense of knowing that who we are in truth and who the other parties are in truth. That's how Jesus really, I believe, healed the sick and raised the dead, because he just saw only the light and only the life. So if we want, so in that respect, I think we're all Christians, and we're all followers or disciples of Jesus in that respect. I bet you didn't know this. Some of you probably do. Jefferson wrote his own Bible. Did you know? Who knew that?
I got one.
Hey, okay, you got one?
Yes,
Cool.
yes.
There you go. We'll have to bring it. It says Jefferson blamed the gospel writers, the Apostle Paul, and other church leaders for corrupting Jesus' message over the centuries. In an effort to get rid of what he believed to be excess, Jefferson used a knife to cut away portions of the Gospels that talked about Jesus' miracles, like the feeding of 5,000 with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. He then pasted together the remaining verses, which contained Jesus' ethical teachings and parables. The resulting book, The Philosophy of the Jesus of Nazareth, was organized by its topic. So again, you know, he cut out somewhere along the line. I think we've missed the mark on who Jesus really was. So Jefferson, amen to him. He was an avid churchgoer. He was involved in local churches throughout his life, offering donations and asking out seats in the pews for him and his private secretary. Henry Randall, a biographer, wrote that Jefferson attended church with as much regularity as the members of the congregation, and sometimes going alone or on horseback with his family. So he did go to church regularly. He partnered with dissident preachers. Well, that says right there, I'd probably be a great friend of his, right? And but anyway, in his fight for the separation of church and state, he befriended a Baptist minister, John Leland. As a Baptist, predominantly in predominantly Anglican New England, Leland often witnessed the persecution of his fellow clergymen. Like Jefferson, Leland was vehemently opposed to any state support of religion. And that was still not a popular topic. In 1802, Leland presented Jefferson with a poignant gift, a giant wheel of cheese. And it says the minister placed Jefferson's favorite quote on its red crust: "Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God." Jefferson must have liked the outlandish gift, for on January 1st, 1802, Jefferson, then the president, invited Leland and his wheel of mammoth cheese to the White House. So there you go. And this is, I find, very interesting and apropos, you know, for today. He says that Jefferson held the first White House iftar. The iftar is the evening meal eaten by Muslims to break the fast during the holy month of Ramadan. On December 9th, 1805, Jefferson invited Sidi Solomon Malemi, a Tunisian representative, to the White House mealtime. He moved the time back to accommodate the religious beliefs of his guest. According to the State Department, Jefferson's knowledge about Islam likely came from his legal studies of natural law. In 1765, Jefferson purchased a 2-volume English translation of the Quran for his personal library, a collection that became, in 1815, the basis of the modern Library of Congress. So Jefferson was an interesting dude, to say the least, and he was the creator of our documents, the founding fathers of this country. He wrote that. So what does that mean? Some of the things that I love just this one statement, the second paragraph. It says that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to offer and to abolish it and institute a new government. Yes. Now, I won't say we're here to do that. I'm not here to start a revolution. I'm here to teach, give a little education about where we came from, where we are today, and what can we do to be part of the change. And it's not a partisan issue in my mind. It's a love issue. It's an issue about understanding that unity and oneness, that we are all one. You know, the Course in Miracles, which, as you know, I love very much, it says that the last step, you know, from us all going from this dream of separation to heaven, the Great Awakening, is holding our brother's hand, and no one's exempt. And so if you think that you're going to get to heaven in this grand awakening, you better look at who you're still holding grievances towards. We're here to honor and love and accept everybody. And so if you take time to find the truth, there's a lot of things out there that really help all this make sense. We've gone astray big time. We've moved from these documents. I think it's time that we move back to that and move back to that place of love. Our country right now is divided. What divides us from anybody? Fear, judgment, needing to be right. I love the quote, you prefer to be right or happy. I prefer to be both, but if I could have one, I'll choose happy. And I like to be right and happy. But anyway, but it's being led from our heart. And yes, we can, I mean, you know, you can be a political activist and still come from your heart. I believe Jesus was a political activist by many means, but a radical activist. But, you know, he didn't do it from hatred. He did it from a true desire to heal, not to make other people wrong. You know, we study a Yogananda. We have a Yogananda study group which teaches about the Yogananda's perspective on Jesus' real teachings. And so basically, for example, the whole idea of the money changers was that Jesus, it took that flipping of the tables, that was the language those people could understand. He met them where they were. If he went in with his little Om glasses, his love glasses on, they wouldn't have heard him. It was about getting their attention and to heal the situation. It wasn't about creating more separation, it was about unifying. So sometimes healing can take a face of aggressive behavior, and sometimes firmness. Can't be heard sometimes the other way. And so it's, I think that a lot of people now, if they really took the time to study this and learn about this, they may have a different idea of really what our country stands for. And I do believe that we were created as a model for what is, you know, with true freedom and honoring and opportunity for everybody, no one exempt, and that's a model for the world, for everybody. But somehow we've sort of lost that vision, but I believe we can get it back. So the first thing we can do is tune into our hearts. You know, let our heart be our guide in all we do. And when we do that, you can't go wrong. You just can't. Osho, who's a great spiritual teacher, he says, true freedom is always spiritual. It has something to do with your innermost being, which cannot be chained, handcuffed, or put into jail. So if you want true freedom, we have to let go of our attachment to outcome and of this world and judgments that we make towards ourselves and others. To know who I am as a spiritual being is enough. I don't have to sit here and continue to seek and search and find. I used to have big visions and dreams and simplifying is way more appealing to me now. It's simple. I want connection with great souls. I want to be at peace, and I want to share this peace with people I meet. There are people who are freedom-oriented, and there are people who are control-oriented. The control-oriented are afraid of freedom, and they're afraid of mystery because they don't believe in the essential goodness of the human spirit. They've lost their faith in humanity and placed their faith in their ideology and their prescriptions that they believe have come from God. But God has only given recommendations through great teachers, not rules, recommendations for living, guidelines for living to help people orient their lives correctly, productively, and beneficially. So I believe that when we're in control, when we're control freaks, that we're not depending on that essence of love to guide us. We're seeing ourselves as separate. You know, we've somehow lost faith in humanity. I think it's time to look beyond the sins and to see the essence of each other and to love each other. Peter Marshall says, may we think of freedom not as the right to do as we please, but the opportunity to do what is right. And so again, do the right thing. Just, you know, we know what the right thing is, and I know when I'm not doing the right thing that it's not right. And what I mean by that is that I'm choosing maybe to get that extra jab in, and I recognize it the second I do it. And boy, doesn't it feel good, you know? It feels good to reach out and connect. One of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite presidents, JFK, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And that's a very simple, important question. It's talking about freedom again, which is really land of the free, home of the brave. But this goes beyond our United States of America. Sometimes you have to get kicked in the gut and lose what we're holding on to. So, you know, we're holding on so much to our dreams and our stuff and our money, so much so that we can't really make space for spirit. And so I love, oh gosh, Janis Joplin, the song, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. And I think that's so true. I mean, eventually, because we are chained by so many things, our stuff, and I know you all know what I'm talking about. So I love this from Corinthians. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. So if we just tap into that, there, you know, South Africa. Mandela, thank you. Mandela, you know, survived that ordeal of being imprisoned and not in such great conditions just because he identified himself as a spiritual being. He didn't allow himself to hold on to the anger and the blame. And, you know, we get so caught up in the need to defend and attack and blame and judge that would have eaten him alive, and he knew it. So he had to wash away that, and he tuned into his heart and his spirit, which allowed him not only to survive that ordeal, but when he got out, look at all the wonderful things he offered to our world. So he's a great example of someone who really tuned into what I'm speaking of. And I want to close by sharing one of my, something that I think is one of my favorite things to hear. And you'll know it when I say it. So this July 4th, may this be this July 4th, may this day, by God's grace, be the beginning of a renewal in our hearts of the founding purpose of these United States of America. Spoken by a man, oppressed but optimistic, let these words ring out to you again or for the first time. Let freedom ring. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places plains, and the crooked places will be made straight. And before the Lord will be revealed, all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the mount with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out the mountain of despair and stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the genuine discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, pray together, struggle together, go to jail together, stand up for freedom forever, knowing that we will be free one day. And I say to you today, my friends, let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring. From the mighty Alleghenies of Pennsylvania, let freedom ring. From the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, let freedom ring. From the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only there, let freedom ring from the Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain in Tennessee. And let freedom ring from every hill and molehill in Mississippi and every mountainside. Let freedom ring. And when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and hamlet, from every state and city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing the words of the Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. And that was Martin Luther King. And that's my dream and my vision, and that's, I believe, God's vision too. So I'll close with this statement. For you have been called to live in freedom. Use your freedom to serve one another in love. From Galatians. So it is. Namaste.
Namaste.